Welcome back to the Real Talk Corner podcast, where we dive deep into the spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical truths that shape our reality and our world. I'm your host, Ariana Gutierrez, and today I'm joined with a special guest, Lindsay Cargill from Soft White Underbelly, an ex-meth addict. In this episode, we'll discuss the harsh realities and warnings of addiction, as well as her powerful journey from meth addiction to getting clean. Join us for an honest and inspiring conversation that sheds light on the struggles and triumphs of overcoming addiction. Let's get started.
The Real Talk Corner. We back. We in the building. As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, fighting my way through the darkness where the wicked don't rest. Conscious aware, truth I dare, shield tight to my chest. My tenacity can put these motherfuckers to the test. High priestess of fire, alchemistic desire. I say manifest and shit, even when I am tired. You can call me amazing, by the bricks I be laying, but you'll never call me lazy, cause my vice are devastating. In the league of my own, spitting real talk energy. I know a little something about a thing called synergy. This is old radio, throw a sending masses awaken me, listen up, cause we about to set your mind, body, and soul free.
All right, let's get into it. I have a special guest with me today, Lindsay Cargill, and I'm going to let her introduce herself before we jump into the topic today. So go ahead, just tell our listeners and viewers a little bit about yourself before we jump into your journey.
My name's Lindsay. I'm a recovering grateful addict. I got about 4 years clean underneath my belt, and I'm here to answer any questions.
And the topic today is about recovery, and because you've had the lovely part of being able to come from being an addict, so you get to tell the journey of being in it and then also what sparks you. So let's go back to what even got you to go down the path of using, and where did that start off from?
It started with a family member. I'm not going to put a name on it. I mean, it was introduced at a very young age, 14 years old. I started intravenously using methamphetamine. So I shot meth almost 24 years before I got clean. I mean, it's just been, there's nothing I haven't seen. There's nothing I haven't done. Bottom of the barrel to the hilt. I mean, there's nothing that I haven't seen or done.
So when you say a family member was using, that's how you were introduced?
Yes.
Okay.
And then they introduced it to me.
The curiosity.
Well, it's more or less like it was kind of forced, you know what I'm saying? It was like, this is what we do in this house. I mean, but no other family members were like that. So it was a little different. It was a little different.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, a lot of people can relate to that, whether it's alcohol, whether it's crack, whatever it is, that there's sometimes it's strong in the family. It's something that's constantly there. I do think even myself of growing up in a home with two alcoholics, my dad was a heroin addict. It's very hard not to go down the same path as them.
Yes.
And it is a struggle to
you are
separate.
what you see.
A lot more people get sucked into it than we would like to admit, not realizing that your home life is a big part of it, truly, right?
Yes. But I mean, a lot of it for me was like when the movie Blow came out, it interested me so much. It was insane. The money. Good Lord, I wanted the money.
So you mean like spending to get it, or what are you talking about?
Just selling drugs to have that type of money that they had. I mean, gotcha. I come from a family with money, but not that kind of money.
Right. And I think that's a huge thing where people get pulled to fast money, right?
Yes.
The life of fast money.
Yes. Quick, fast, untaxable money.
Yeah. What are some of the crazy dangers that you've seen that you could say maybe weren't.
Like now that I've gotten clean, the fentanyl is so scary. Like, you don't know what it's in. It could be in anything, like anything. It's
Right.
not worth dying. It's not worth going and getting high to die. It's not worth that anymore. Where back
Right.
then, the drugs were actually, I mean, this is going to sound crazy, the drugs were actually worth doing. The quality of them, the dynamic of them, things have changed. It's not what it used to be anymore.
Right. I've seen a couple documentaries of just kind of them, the way some of these people are cooking it up and where they're cooking it up. It's not
They
like
don't
you have to
care.
have a degree to make this
Well,
stuff, right?
yeah. I mean, the anhydrous, yeah, I mean, that's definitely a chemical compound you have to know how to do. I mean, it's very dangerous. It's very dangerous.
Right.
Like, your average backyard boogie probably shouldn't be doing it, but your average backyard boogie is a scientist doing it, if that makes any type of sense. I mean,
Right.
it's that easy, but it's that dangerous in the same sense. A scientist should be doing it, but your 5-year-old kid could make it in the same sense. It's that easy.
Right.
I mean,
I've seen a lot on these very young teens dying from the fentanyl, and it's very sad. Tons, way more than I would like to admit that are
it's,
dying. Why do you think that is? Just from what
nobody
you've
has a
seen?
conscience anymore. Nobody has a conscience anymore. They will sell you whatever. They will give you whatever. They don't care. They don't care.
Mm,
Like, how should I say? There used to be a code of conduct behind some things. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was things you did and things you didn't do, and there was just things you didn't fucking do. And
right.
now the things you didn't do, people are doing, and they're
Right.
doing it consciously, and they're okay with it. That's not okay.
Right.
It's
Yeah, I
population
was going to
control to
ask
me.
that. Do you see like the even I think in every aspect, I talk about this a lot, even like when you look at old school gangs and how they were and the codes that they had and what they didn't do. And now you see like it
It's
transform into
disrespectful. It's
right,
disrespectful now. It's disrespectful.
right.
It's complete. It's just disrespected the whole game. I didn't want no part of it no more. I don't want no part of this new generation crap. None of it.
Yeah. So on your journey while you're in it, and then not only are you using, but you turn into helping to create and make, right? And the money.
Yeah.
What's that life like for not, and I'm not promoting this, you guys. We're just
This
talking
is not
about
an endorsement. I
not an
had
endorsement to go out
the
there and create.
absolute most wonderful time of my life. But I didn't have kids at the time. I didn't have
Mm,
kids at the time. I mean, I was very selfish at the time. I only worried about myself. When I started, when I had kids, when I had my first child, and I saw what it had done to my mother, what I had done to my mother throughout the years. I mean, that's when I started, like, my conscience come into play then, and it was like, you got to start, the scales of justice. You got to start weighing stuff out. And it was just worth getting sober at that point. It's not worth dying. It's not worth my son or my mother having to bury me, for damn sure.
right,
But I'm not going to give somebody the authority over me like that anymore. That's my
right,
decision. If I want to do that, I'll do that. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to give that power to anyone
right.
and not
Why
know
do you
what.
think though? How long were you using and being in this lifestyle? Like about how long were you?
I shot meth from the age of 15, well, 14 really, to the age of 30, almost 34.
So quite a while.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
I went from, I mean, I've gone from red phosphorus to anhydrous to, I've seen the change. I've seen the dynamics change, and
Yeah.
it's not right. It's not cool what they're doing to people.
Right. While you're in it though, what makes you stay in a place of, because I feel like there's the underlining effects of just childhood and those traumas that kind of come out and where you feel, well, I'm just going to do what I want in this moment.
It interested me. I loved it. You're not going to do something you don't want to do if you don't like doing it.
Yeah.
You're not going to get up
Feel it
every
was like
day.
the adrenaline.
Yeah. I mean, you're not going to get up every day and go do something like that if you don't enjoy doing it.
Right. I do say this a lot. I say this, and a lot of people kind of look at me weird when I say this, but I'm like, no one is in any situation that you don't get something from it.
That's
There's
exactly
got to
right.
be something you get out of it to sit there, Because the moment you get tired of the shit, right? The moment you're like,
leave.
I'm
And
done
that's
with
exactly
this.
what happened. Like I
Right.
hit the bottom of the barrel and I recognized I was getting sober and I was done. I literally
Right.
laid the shit down cold turkey and walked away from it and haven't touched it again.
Yeah. Yeah. I believe it's just like that. It's not.
It's mind over matter.
Yeah.
It's a head game. It's a head game. If you want to get clean,
Well, I
you'll
mean,
get clean.
if you break
want
it
to play
down,
if you want to play that card, I'm on drugs, I'm this, I'm that, I need help, then you're
right.
going to do that.
Right.
You're not going to want to change because people are giving you what you want at that point.
No. You do. I feel like if you get to the point where you can sit and answer the questions of why you do what you do and honestly answer those questions, right? Because we could sit all day and be like, I don't know why I do this. I don't know.
People look at me like when I'm crazy and I say I enjoy doing what I was doing. I enjoyed doing what I was doing. But the time come where it had to stop. It needed to stop. Every good thing comes to an end. Everything runs its course out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it just depends on how you do it, how you run your playbook.
Right. I like that you can be honest in that fact that you sat with it and understand that, no, I was
in
enjoying
denial
this.
for so many years over it. I was in denial so many years over it. I wouldn't talk to my family. I wouldn't do nothing. I can't be like that. You got to own what you did or you're never going to be able to change it.
Right. Well, it's the probably shame, guilt, and all of those things rolled into one of the whys, right?
Oh, well, yeah.
Why am I choosing to do this? Why am I hurting all these people? But also having to accept because I like this. There's sometimes it's not always the trauma and the things that are going on that makes you stay in it. Sometimes you just are liking it. You enjoy it.
With me,
right?
I had a very good childhood. I mean, there was really nothing that ever happened to me that made me go do this other than I enjoy it. I like it.
Right.
It interests me. Just like nursing interests other people. This interested me.
Right.
I mean, you can't help who you are.
No, there's a lot of stigmas in life. Again, I'm not co-signing or, telling you to go out there and do drugs.
No, I mean, it's a very touchy, like there's a very underlying, like it's a very weird line to cross, but I understand what you're saying.
Right. Because I've said I personally did not get into anything hard. I was scared. Being that my parents were addicts, I was scared I would become an addict. So I was very cautious of going past smoking weed. Smoking weed was like it. That's where I'm stopping.
I never even liked to smoke weed. See, that's the crazy part. I don't even, still to this day, I wouldn't even want to smoke weed.
Yeah, I don't see why people are addicted to it and have to have it. Because personally, I would get tired and want to sleep, and then I would be hungry.
I'd be 2,000 pounds.
Right. I'm like, what is the point of really, I guess for some people it helps, like if they don't have an appetite or they can't sleep.
Cancer, I mean, but shoot, I feel you there, girlfriend.
I was like, I'm already a pretty calm person. So this just is overboard.
Right. This is just going to be like, whoa.
Yeah. But so you're in the fast lane. You are doing your thing. Then where does it become like, this ain't it no more? What can you pinpoint?
Oh, I just got goosebumps. My dad got sick. My dad got really sick, and I didn't know it was as bad as it was. But in my heart, I knew. And I had to get sober to spend his last days with him. And that's what I did. I got a hard time talking about it.
Yeah, it's okay.
That man stood by me no matter what. And so the only thing he deserved for me to be sober at his funeral and to be sober every day after that. I owed that to him.
Yeah. The love sometimes that we have for people.
My clean date's my dad's death anniversary. My dad's death date.
Yeah. Do you celebrate him?
Every day. Every day.
Good.
That's my sobriety. That's my celebration for him. This is all he wanted, and this is what he will get.
Yeah. You know, there's that.
Did they tell you to get sober for yourself because you can't
Yeah.
be the type of person you need to be? I had to get sober for my dad, for myself, if that made any sense, because that was my backbone. I had to make him happy before I could make myself happy.
Yeah.
So I don't believe in you get yourself clean. If there's a thing, if there's something or someone that gives you a reason or enough support to get clean, then you claim that. You claim that. They're owed that. They deserve that. They helped you get clean.
I don't think there's any problem with having that where people inspire you to change, you know, because anybody can inspire you to change.
Yeah.
You got to do the hard part, though.
Yeah, it's not easy. Like everything
It's not
changes.
it's not an easy thing to just, you know, I'm gonna, even though you did cold
Weight
turkey kind of stuff.
I mean, everything. Like for the first time in probably 4 years, I'm finally content with everything going on in my life. Like everything is stopped. I've got everything where it needs to be. If that it takes about 4 years for the drug to get out of your body, if that makes any type of sense.
Yeah.
For you to be
Well,
completely back to normal.
Yeah. That's a lot. That's a while. It's rough.
And it could take longer than that. I mean, it just depends on the person. I mean, I still got side effects. I'm constantly moving.
Yeah. Because a lot of people that are trying to get clean are trying to kick it. If you think it's going to be overnight, it's
not overnight. And then you got the people, you know, even in my soft white underbelly interview, I said, I don't agree with people substituting one drug for another drug to come off of another drug.
Right.
Now, that was not in reference to Suboxone or Mat or anything like that, because heroin and stuff like that, I've never experienced that. That is a completely different, that's a demon, that's a devil, that's a completely different, I wouldn't even want to touch that. That scares me. People need that Mat, they need that Suboxone to come off of that. And I'm a full 100% sponsor on that. Like people shouldn't say heroin users don't need Mat or Suboxone or anything like that. Those people are on a completely different drug nobody has ever experienced in their life. And that's exactly what they need. They need an opiate blocker in order to go on with their everyday life, to do the things they need to do, to be the people they need to be for their children. And for people to sit there and say something, they've never been in their shoes. They don't know. They couldn't live that life for 2 minutes. Right. 2 minutes they couldn't walk in their shoes. You know, it's like I told my mom a couple weeks ago, I messed up. I didn't pay my electric bill. I didn't think about it. I paid it late. Electricity got shut off. I worked 43 days in a row with no electricity before I said anything. And she's like, why? I said, I'm built for this shit. The life I went through made me cut to where I could do this. I didn't need help. I got through it and went about my business.
Right.
And it's not what life throws at you. It's how you handle it. It's how you handle it.
Yeah. I don't think I don't want to ever sit and tell people like there's one way to clean up their life or get clean, you know, if that's what they want to do. Because it's all going to look different for different people.
We're all snowflakes. Not one person is the same. So if you can find something that's going to work for you, do it. All power to you. All power. My dad's death is what worked for me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if people worship doorknobs and ceiling fans instead of God, so what's the difference?
Right. It's pretty trippy how one person can be in a space and this is what they're doing, and then someone else can be in a different space. But again, we're all different paths. It's all going to look different on what we want to do. You getting clean, even though I know you use your father because of what happened with your father, but you still did it. And
I was worth getting sober. I recognize that. Like, I had too much potential to be doing what I was doing. I had too much potential to be sitting in prison is what come down to that.
Right.
That's what it came down to. When I was like, what is going on? What am I doing in here? Like it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
Right. Because at the end of the day, the fast money is not going to last. right?
No money's going to last.
The lifestyle is not going to last.
No, every good thing comes to an end. Everything runs its course out. Even when your kids are good, that runs its course out. Then they turn into aliens. I mean,
Right.
it's not about, it's what you make of the situation. How should I say? Everybody knows when it's time to get out. You know when it's time to get out of a situation, and if you choose to stay, then you deal with what comes after that. That's how I looked at it. I wasn't dealing with that. I didn't want to die. I didn't want no part of this. None.
Right. Did you start to see people dying?
I had relapsed. I relapsed one time. And the dope I got my hands on, it made me so sick. I don't never want to do dope again.
Wow.
It made me that sick. I don't never want to touch it. Even thinking about it makes me want to get sick. I don't never want to touch it again.
So very different
Very
experience.
different. Yes.
Wow.
I didn't like it. And I honestly am a thorough believer in women. When you reach the age of 32 to 34, it makes you go fucking crazy. It does something to you. It makes you go nuts.
Wow.
Yep. It does something different to the biological chemistry of a woman. It does something.
Mm.
You don't have your period. There's something wrong there.
Definitely. And I mean, the chemicals in there are, they're not natural chemicals that you're putting in your body.
It's a
So
wonder
they're
half
definitely
of
going
us
to
are
be
still
destroying
alive.
something.
Like, I wonder what my insides even look like, to be honest with you.
Right.
It's not worth doing. It's not worth putting your family through the bullshit. It's just not worth it. It's not worth spending your money on it. It sure as fuck ain't worth dying over.
Right. And I kind of look at things sometimes a little bit different because I understand.
You can't even die and say the drug was good. It's because the drug has. You can't even die because the drug was good. If you see you're dying because it's got fentanyl in it. It's not even because it's pure. It's because it's got something else in it.
Mm.
You can't even OD properly. I mean, that's my thought process, and it's crazy, but that's how I look at it. When you can't even OD properly, and the fire department shows up with Narcan to read, there's something wrong.
Wow. I don't see it getting any better, though. I don't think
it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse.
I don't think it's going to get better.
No, it's going to get worse.
Definitely going to get worse out there.
Oh yeah, look at Oregon. Every drug to mankind is legal out there in Portland, Oregon right now.
Yeah.
What are they thinking?
I mean, you could go out there and unalive yourself too.
Yeah. There's a population control out there.
They're like, hey, come on down. You want to try?
Come on out here, man. We'll put you up. It's a party.
They say you want an experience? Come on over.
Shit, I keep my ass in Indiana.
I do understand that sometimes on this path, when you are the addict, that the family can hurt in so many ways. And I feel like there's two aspects to it. Where
my mother still hardly talks to me.
It's going to, because on one side of the family, there's an expectation of who that person needs to be, the addict, and who they're supposed to be, and who they're supposed to show up at.
Or who
they were before the drugs, right? Yeah. So there's an expectation of what that looks like. And a lot of people don't want to accept that this may be them, right? That this may be who they are, and this may be what they're doing.
There's a lot of closet smokers.
There's a lot that goes on to that, and that kind of hinders us a lot and breaks down the connection because of what we deem as bad or good, right? Because I personally am not into doing drugs, but I mean, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. It's not a good or a bad thing. How you act on that is a whole different story, right? What you do when you're high is a whole different story.
There's the answer right there. It's how you hold yourself, how you conduct yourself. I was a functioning addict. Up until the end, people didn't even know I was on it. Because like I said, the drug's different now. Like it makes you go fucking crazy.
Right.
Before that, I worked. I went to school. I graduated high school on this shit. I was in 8th grade when I started shooting methamphetamine.
Wow.
at 99. You know what I'm saying? I had my knee replaced and started shooting dope in 99. And it's like, it's so weird because everything's kind of come full circle. Monday, I stepped out of bed and my whole knee collapses. So now I'm getting ready to have another knee replacement done. So it's like my life is starting. It's like I'm rebirthed again. You know what I'm saying? I get to start over again. Is how I'm looking at it.
Definitely is a whole different.
It's a lot different.
A whole different.
It's like my mom just messaged me, and I have an 11-year-old son, and he just took first for the state of Indiana in swimming, and it's like, before I never even would have got those messages. I wouldn't even have known what was going on. You know what I'm saying? Right. So it's really cool. I mean, and I can't be mad at her for being mad at me for completely disrespecting her and how she raised me my whole life.
Right.
I get it. I feel really bad for what I've done to her. I feel really bad. And I'm the reason why our relationship is the way it is. Yeah. And I have to live with that.
Yeah. Just owning it, and all you can do is move forward and repair it as you guys can.
Show her better than I could tell her, and that's what I've been doing here lately.
Exactly. Because you really don't need to apologize 20 million times. It's really just
there's nothing I can apologize for, because everything I did because I wanted to. How can I apologize for that? I can't apologize for that. I can own it, move about my business, and say I was wrong. But I'm not going to say I'm sorry, because if I'm sorry, I never had no business doing it.
True. I was just going to say that, like, you really can't apologize unless you're truly sorry.
I can apologize for maybe putting her through some of the things and making her feel some of the things, like her raising my child. She shouldn't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? She shouldn't have to do that. And she never should have had to make me make a decision to put my other one up for adoption. You know? I mean, I should have had both my kids. I never should have had to make any of these decisions if I would have done what I was supposed to do, like she raised me. And I see why she's so mad at me. I get it. I let her down.
Right.
I mean, I let her down. I blatantly disrespected her.
Yeah. That's rough.
I'm sorry, Mom.
It's kind of one of those things, like, you can I appreciate that you can sit back and see, right? But I love that you're not just everything's sorry, because you know you were in it and you loved it at the same time.
Yeah. I mean,
so I like that you're able to sit and be like, I do see what I caused, but I also can say,
I see the havoc I caused. I see the havoc I caused for damn sure. But in the same sense, it's almost like she sees now where it's all come together, and now I'm using it for the good. My mother still hasn't watched my Soft White Underbelly interview.
Yeah, I did. I checked it out.
I really don't think she wants to know the real. You know what I'm saying?
No.
And which I wouldn't either. As a mother, I would want to sit there and listen to my child, tell a story like that. You know what I'm saying? And me being a parent, not knowing what was going on the whole time.
Right.
But that's not.
It's a hard thing. It's a hard thing to swallow.
It's very hard.
Because the truth doesn't always feel good. So again,
and the truth doesn't always feel like the truth neither.
Your mom's perception of who you were supposed to be.
Oh, I was a huge softball star.
Watching that interview, it's going to clash with that perception very much.
And I swear that's why she's doing what she's doing with my son. Like, I was that prodigy child. I was going somewhere in sports. Now my son, like, she's full force engaged with my son, and we're getting ready to go to North Dakota for zone conference, to swim. So he's 11. Awesome. I mean, he's doing big things up here.
Yeah.
It's just, where before I wasn't ever even invited. Now I'm invited to come to swim practice. I'm invited to things now. And it took a long time. Right. I mean, I'm still not allowed out at my mother's house unless she's there.
Right.
Which I'm not mad at her about that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it is what it is. I have to earn that trust back.
It's the reality
of it. But
I
had a hard time in the beginning. I used to get really mad. We would bump heads. I'm your daughter. I don't care if you're my daughter or not. And this is where my mother helped me. My mom was like a prison guard. My mom drove down the fucking street every day for a year. Drove right past me with my son in the back seat. Wouldn't even fix her face or her mouth to turn over and wave at me. Stone cold face, drove down the road past me every day for 2 years. Wouldn't answer a phone, wouldn't do nothing, and it's the only thing that got me clean.
Wow.
It's the only thing. Yeah. The way my mother's face looked when she got out at the rehab house to see me after I got out, she said, I never thought I'd see you again unless I was burying you. And I swore to that day I would never look at that look on my mom's face again. I won't never put her through that again.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's rough. I mean, people really need to stop and think, yeah, you're putting yourself through some shit, but the people on the other end, they're going through some shit because they don't even know, they can't even feel what you're going through because they don't even know because they've never been there.
Exactly.
And all they want you to do is get clean because they think it's that easy, and it's not.
Yeah. That's why I said it's kind of a double
standard
conundrum on both sides of not understanding, not knowing what to do, not knowing how to be.
And it's a disease.
But I do feel
much as
tough
people
love
don't feel
sometimes.
like it's a disease. It is a disease. I mean, you don't pick and choose. Like I said, I went to a good school, Catholic grade school, the whole nine, and I still ended up like this.
Yeah.
It don't matter how you're raised. It matters what interests you and the choices that you make along the line.
Yeah.
People, places, and things.
Definitely. We have the choice. We always have the choice. And I don't think it always is you have to have this crazy ass background to make one choice in your life that will derail you into oblivion.
That one choice, it completely, it was whoa. But then, when I put my youngest son up for adoption, it grounded me. It grounded me so fucking much to the ground and to reality and to giving something to someone else could never have. Like I tell her all the time, I wasn't meant to raise him. I was meant to have him to watch you raise him because I get so much more out of it. I get so much more out of watching them with him. You know what I'm saying? And they don't take nothing from me. They still call me mom. I mean, I got blessed with really good people and a very beautiful adoption story. Very lucky. Very lucky.
I will tell you that on a spiritual level, because I'm very spiritual, and me working with a lot of mothers who either lose children, whether abortion, whether adoption, all of those aspects. The beautiful thing about all of it is that sometimes we don't realize us women are vessels. We are these beautiful portals for these souls to come in. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that we're supposed to stay. Not all the time.
Right.
Sometimes the plan is, all right, you're the vessel for me, but who's going to raise me is the person that I have made this contract with to be in their life. But society has this pressure on what it all looks like. So we get filled with a lot of guilt and hurt and pain because we think this is how it's supposed to be, but it's supposed to be the way it is. And you could get to the part to accept it and understand it, then you can see the blessing through it all. And you're like,
it's beautiful. It's really beautiful because they adopted again. And I don't even want to put their story out there. That's why I'm being very careful with the words I choose.
Right.
They adopted again, and they ended up adopting the guy I've been with for over 8 years, his first cousin's baby.
Oh.
I said, that just let me know we made the right decision. I mean, two babies that were never going to see each other are now brothers.
Yeah.
I was like, this is amazing. This is amazing.
Yeah.
But I always knew, Sam was, he was very special. He was born on 7/7/17 at 7:17 p.m. And he just turned 7 this year.
Wow.
It's the year of the 7. It's God's number,
Yeah.
He plays my position in baseball. He wears my number. I mean, that's what I get for Mother's Day every year. It's him on the field wearing my number, playing baseball. Because my oldest, he won't even throw a ball. I can't get him to throw a baseball. That's okay. That's the bittersweet about this. I knew there was always going to come something about the adoption. It was just going to kill me. He plays baseball. The one I was going to be able to throw the ball with, you know what I'm saying? But it's okay.
Right. It is. Life can be crazy, and there's a lot of things spiritually we don't understand or see or know.
I could never do what they're doing.
Trust that inner instincts that's telling you, because
I could never do what they're doing. Like, it's amazing, and I'm glad I gave them what I gave them. They deserve it. And then some. And then some.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is what it is. You know, people could say, you know, CPS took my kids this, CPS took my kids that. Yeah, they're being selfish at that point. Because, you
Right.
know, I had one taken from CPS too, and it was the best damn thing that could ever happen for that fucking kid. I had no business with him. And now he's
Sometimes
up
it's the
there.
truth
Now
of
he's
it.
up there swimming, killing records. And if I would have had him, do you think he would be doing all this?
Right. Right.
I'm okay with every fucked up decision people think I've made. I had somebody the other day look at me and be like, "You're the devil because you didn't keep your children." No, really, I'm not. You're very
Wow.
selfish. No, I'm very selfless. You know,
Right.
and that comes from a selfish person who couldn't understand the decision I made.
I don't think that people understand how hard it is to really let go versus hold on. Again, I'm a kid who was raised in an attic house, and I wish they would have gave my ass up all the time.
I mean,
You
I look
know?
at it like this. I lost my first one. I lost my first one due to drugs, but it wasn't because I was using drugs. There was someone in my house who had a warrant and they found some drugs in my house. Okay.
Mhm.
And that's why they took Jake. You know, everybody looks at like when they get pregnant again, this is my chance to do over. I couldn't do that. Yeah, I wanted that baby. That was my chance to do over, but I couldn't raise him in front of my oldest. And my oldest come to me later and ask me why I could raise him and not him. I couldn't do
Right.
that to my son. I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
He didn't choose for me to have him taken, so I couldn't do that to him.
Yeah.
Made a lot of hard decisions, but I feel like I've made the right ones morally for the right
Yeah.
reasons. And I think that's why they don't mess with me that bad. I sleep very well at night, knowing both my children are very well taken care of, and nothing will ever happen to them, and I can see them and still talk to them.
Right. That's what I say. Sometimes the path is not what we might think, and in the women, especially because we are vessels, we are the portal. But again, doesn't mean we're going to be the one that raises that child. Very
Yep.
well could be intended for somebody else, in
Yep.
this world. And
I
that's a
mean,
part of the path. That's the beauty of this path in this life. So you don't need to hold on to anything like guilt or shame far as that goes. And the people that come to you and want to shit on you and all of that, that just comes from a hateful place,
haters.
in a judgmental place, right? To talk
Yeah.
shit. I'm better than
Yeah.
you, and I'm going to talk shit to you, which none of us are better than each other.
No.
None of us
No.
can sit on a high horse and look down at the other person and say, oh, I'm better than you, right?
Right, and that's just like I told, I had a past employer that always used to do me like that. I looked at him one day and I'm like, you really need to humble yourself because at any time that carpet could be ripped out from underneath you. You never know
Definitely.
what could happen. And people like
Yep.
you are the reason why people like me relapse, is what I told him.
Definitely.
Piece of shit.
It is you have to humble yourself, and it's like, because I am who I am, and the spiritual road I've chosen to take is opened my eyes up, because I used to be a very judgmental person. I'm not gonna
I
lie.
was too.
Man, I
Let
was
me tell you,
judgmental.
this mouth of mine would get my ass in trouble.
Man. But it's opened my eyes to realize just there's so much we don't understand to life. So sitting and looking at someone's life, you can't make a judgment because you have no idea what they were supposed to go through, what their life path is, what all of those things. So you just got to sit back and listen, take it in and learn from it.
I mean,
That's why I do the podcast.
I really wish there would have been someone like me when I was doing what I was doing. Maybe I wouldn't have listened to everything, but maybe one thing would have clicked and I would have changed doing what I was doing. Maybe not all the way, but a little bit, enough to tweak things a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because this shit ain't no good. Nobody needs to be wasting their money on it. I'm just going to say that. I mean, it ain't no good. It's just you put it in a savings account. Go buy something. Go on a trip. Don't go die. You know what I'm saying? Don't call in dead tomorrow. Go to Florida. Do something. Make memories.
Right. How does it feel to have that realization of, man, I was spending my time being high, and then now it's just like I can fucking do anything now.
When I was able to pass a background check to work at our theme park, I knew my life was fitting to get better at that point. And it's like that's when stuff started changing for me. I got my teeth fixed, I mean, a lot of things, like everything has just started clicking in the past 2 or 3 weeks here lately. I don't know if I've come up out of this depression, this denial, or this hatred towards myself for doing what I was doing for so long that now I'm at peace with it and I can just go about my business. I was very worried about doing that soft white. I mean, I come from it's a little town, but it's a big town, if that makes any type of sense. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And there's just things you do here and things you don't. And my mother was completely against me doing that. But I did it. It needed to be done. It needed to be done. People needed to hear that. I mean, and sometimes I go against the grain because that's what you're supposed to do. If you did everything by the book, it would be such a boring life.
Well, I think too, also, when you go through an experience like yours, and then you choose to, one, use it to help others, I think that's a bigger blessing in itself and a way for you to give back. So speaking your truth and talking about your path and what you went through and where you are today, that is huge. And some people may look at that as small, but it creates, I was just talking about this on another podcast, it creates a ripple effect out there.
You're so very right, because I actually had an ex-boyfriend's brother message me last night, and this guy is very reserved, doesn't talk to a lot of people, and it threw me off guard that he even messaged me. And he said, it's starting to get tough out there. The game's tough. He said, I think it's time we all hang it up and use you for an example. And I said, I really appreciate that. I said that really means a lot to me. He said, I don't think you understand what you're doing means a lot to a lot of us out here.
Yeah. It's big. It's huge. Everybody's path is so different. When we look at purpose and we look at, what does that purpose entail? Sometimes the best purpose for someone comes out of tragedy, comes out of a hard road taken.
Yes. I mean, like I said, it's what you make out of it. You got to make the most out of it. You have to. Even in my drug addiction, I can't sit here and say I hated one part about it. I loved it. I had fun. I wouldn't have fucking did it as long as I did it.
Right.
I wouldn't have done it as long as I did it. I wouldn't have kept going back to it. I don't want no part in it now. That's how I know I'm done.
Right.
That's how I know I'm done. I mean, I can be around it. I can be around it, and it don't bother me none.
I was going to ask you, what are some of the biggest challenges during recovery? What were some of the biggest challenges that you faced?
The biggest challenge is watching my stupid ass friends still doing what they're doing, knowing they ain't got no business doing it. I was just housing a girl. I picked up my cane. I got so mad. I was just housing this girl, and she really had the nerve to bring drugs in my house, knowing I was a recovering addict. And I told her after I found him, I said, that was just blatantly disrespect after I brought you in my home, tried to get you clean. I said, I don't give a fuck if you were doing them, but to do them inside my house, that's a whole nother situation with me in the house.
Right.
Like, the fuck is wrong with these people?
Right.
Like, at some point, your mama didn't raise you this dumb is where I'm at with it. Like I said, right from wrong anytime you're doing anything. And then there's just shit you don't fucking do. And it's shit you don't fucking do.
Right.
I was so mad about it. Oh, man, I'm in rehab now. Well, go to rehab. Use that excuse. That's what you do. That's what they all do. I'm in rehab. You want to go? You want a cookie? You want a gold star? Finish it. That's what you need to do. Then tell me you finished rehab. Don't tell me you're in rehab.
It's a process, right? I think, I do think it's sucks if you are in the process of getting clean and then you have the people that are like, okay, that's good for you, but I'm going to still be over here and then still
but
let me show up in your face.
Strong enough to be able to ignore that shit.
Yeah.
Every day my mother still, well, I'm not going to say today because she hasn't today, but you're on drugs, my ex-employer, you're on drugs. No, I'm really not. But you keep saying that, you're going to make a motherfucker go get on drugs. I'm going to go do what the fuck you're accusing me of doing. Might as well.
Right. Well, I think a lot of people have to understand also, once you've been on that road so long, it is very hard for people to break trust. Once you break trust, right? Very
yeah.
hard to repair trust back in
I
a
don't know if
relationship.
anything will ever be repaired with me and my mother. I
Some
honestly
things won't
don't.
ever be repaired.
And
No.
I don't expect them to be. I don't expect them to be. My mother retired twice and had to go back to work for getting me attorneys and using her retirement fund. I don't ever expect her to ever forgive me about anything. Any money she ever worked her ass off for. You know, she shouldn't even have done it. She shouldn't even have done it. That was her goddamn money she worked for, not to get me out of trouble with. As her daughter, she did what she should have done. I'm not going to help my kids. I'm going to tell you that right now. I will leave their asses in jail.
Yeah, I would too.
I will leave their asses in jail. They will learn.
I say that not to be, and I do believe in tough love, because I believe that if you've given someone the wisdom of, you know, I'm going to give you some game and wisdom about this life. If you still choose to go out there and do X, Y, and Z, then that's the lesson you chose to learn, because there's repercussions to everything that we choose to do. And I do think parents who save their children, you enable your children. Then you're enabling them.
She saved me, but it was more or less she was trying to save her face from the community, and I understand that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But she said something the other day. She said, "I just didn't raise you." I said, "Just stop." I said, "It's nothing you did. Nothing you did. Nothing you taught me. These were the decisions I made. This has nothing to do with how you raised me, so quit blaming yourself." Because she did nothing wrong. She did nothing wrong. I did all of this. And then some.
I think a lot of parents watching this, hopefully you can understand what she's saying right now, because I think a lot of them do that, where it's like, what did I do wrong? Where did I go wrong? You know, I didn't raise you this way. And I do want them to understand, because it's something I work with a lot of people. It's that you might be the beginning. I call parents that you're the beginning guides. You're the beginning caregivers. But this child will develop and become their own person. Yes. They will have their own lessons, their own choices, their own things in life that you cannot save them from.
You can't
no matter how much we love each
everything.
other, no matter how much we want everyone to have these perfect lives, we can't save them. They have to learn and grow and go on their own path. So unfortunately, hopefully your mom finds some type of peace to not blame herself for it. You know,
this is where I'm at with it. As a parent, I don't see how I wouldn't blame myself. Because all you want to do is nurture and save and protect and you know what I'm saying? And it wasn't her fault. She didn't know what was going on. And I see where she's very beside herself with it. I can understand it. In a way, I feel like she probably feels like she failed me as a parent.
I mean, because I've seen it, I've seen how someone can be the best or try to be the best parent that they can, right? And I've seen how some children still choose these different roads that are harsh and hard and crazy. And you're like, where the hell did this apple fall from?
There's a rapper that raps with Snoop Dogg and all of them. I'm not going to put his name out there, but his daughter's a whole prostitute out on Figueroa out on Fig out in LA.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to live like this. You're choosing to live like this. It's just crazy. I mean, I don't understand it.
Right. It's
because like that goes back to what interests you. You can't help what interests you.
It goes back to, like I said, parents are the human guides, but we cannot control the child to be who parents. And I just want it because, you know, I do a lot of things work on the spiritual side end of it. So one of the biggest healing aspects of it, and I want to ask you before I ask you your question, but parents, this is one of the biggest things to just understand that you're the human guide, but you cannot save them from life. Life, you know, there's things that everyone has to go through in life. And karmically, you believe in karma?
Oh, girl, I'm living mine right now.
So karma isn't just tit for tat. Karma is about the lessons that we came here to learn in this human experience, right? And so parents cannot save their children as much as you want to and be the best guides that you can. But sometimes, again, you're not meant to be the one that's going to raise a child. Some other times you cannot save them from themselves. So accepting what is probably one of the biggest things parents have to learn how to do, and let go of their children, which is a huge one also, right?
And it's nothing you never want to do. It's almost like a status quo thing as a woman, like people look down on you as, you know
You're
what
a
I'm
horrible
saying?
mother.
Like but like you don't even understand, like people don't understand what goes into that decision. Like,
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot harder. Like I even spoken. We won't go too far into like suicide, but
right.
that's another topic I've talked about on my podcast, where people think it's the easy way out, and I was someone
Hell
too. But
no.
now where I'm at, it's such more to it on the decisions than people think. It's much harder to go these
I can
routes
only
than
imagine
people think.
sitting here thinking how it'd be much easier to let somebody do that for me than, that's probably why I'm still alive, because I couldn't do it to myself.
Right.
Like I couldn't
It's
do
like,
that. That's scary.
yeah,
I don't want to
yeah,
be the reason I'm not here.
yeah.
For
It's
that,
not
for
an
that
easy decision.
matter,
So
you know?
decisions like that are not easy, and they're not, I don't think they're ever taken lightly. And sometimes it actually is in the best interest of the child.
Oh, most definitely.
Might not be
Most
seen right
definitely.
then, but at some point,
You know how many
everyone
children
will
are
probably
suffering
realize.
because someone couldn't make that decision because they were
Mhm.
selfish and couldn't make that decision?
Right.
Or how many are lost in the system and you'll never know? At least I know where mine are at and they still call me mom. That's how I look
That's a
at it.
whole nother podcast of how many are missing and all of that. It's very sad stats in the
Yeah.
foster care system these days.
Yeah.
Very sad stats. But I
Mm-hmm.
wanted, before I end it, I wanted to just, what kind of healing stuff did you do on your road to recovery as well? Because I feel like it all goes hand in hand, because you've seen a lot, you went through a lot during your
The
time as
main, can I tell
okay.
you the one thing that was most therapeutic for me was being in a 2-man cell by myself or with one other person, because I didn't have nobody to sugarcoat it. I can't sugarcoat things with myself. I can't go argue with the fence post. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
I know what I did. I know what I've done. I
right,
have to live with that every fucking day.
right,
When you come to peace with the shit you've done to others, to yourself, you know what I'm saying? That's when you know you've grown. That's when you know you've
right.
grown. And
Even though
a
you were
lot of,
kind of forced in the cell, but that's what we call sitting with self. A lot of people don't like to do that.
I
Sitting with
liked it.
self.
Yeah, I needed that. I needed that. That's like putting this child up for adoption. I needed that selfless act because I was a very selfish person. I needed to
Yeah,
know what that felt like to be able to do something like that.
right. Yeah, it's not like I said, it's not a small decision at
Being a
all.
drug addict is very selfish. It's a very selfish thing.
Yeah, because in the moment you're only thinking about what you need in that moment.
You don't care about your kids. You don't care about nothing. Not even your own well-being at that point. Just
Yeah,
how you're going to get your fix and where you're going to get it from.
yeah. There's the harshness to it. On that aspect, when you're looking at it, to people who are like having to deal with what they've done, having to deal with, because I know you're saying it, and you're at a point where you can say it, but there's a lot
I
of
haven't
people
dealt with
still in that
everything
shit.
I've done. I haven't dealt with everything I've done. There's some things I've put away that I really don't want to deal with,
Right,
that there's going to come a time I'm going to have to deal with in order to be the person I need to be.
right,
If that, like, there's some things really holding me back right now, emotionally, like mentally wise, that I really probably need to deal with.
right.
And journaling's one of the best things. Working your
Yeah,
steps. And if I wouldn't work my steps, I was so afraid I was incriminating myself by writing them down on paper. That was the main thing I had a problem with. With
right,
everything I did, I was telling on myself. And I'm not telling on my motherfucking self. No, we would burn it. Write down whatever the fuck you need to write down to get it off your mind and your chest, and go outside and set that bitch on fire.
right,
Then it's gone.
right.
That's what I did with every 12 steps of that step book. That's what I did.
Yeah. There's techniques, and I love that you're bringing some up for people who are like, yeah, I'm stuck in this. And it, because you have to face things at some point. As
You
hard as
can't
it
just
is.
ignore it. If you ignore it, it's just going to fester and fester and fester and fester, and it's going to erupt to something you don't want on the wrong person.
Right. Right. Yeah. And I mean, it doesn't have to be everything in one day.
No.
You know, it could be steps.
Start a gratitude book. I got a gratitude notebook. I just write down,
Nice.
I say if the only thing you do for the day is breathe, that is perfectly fine. That is perfectly fucking fine if the only thing you do for the day is breathe.
Which
You
is
did
a
something right.
blessing.
You did something right. You're breathing.
Right. It's an underrated blessing. Like one of the biggest blessings you get every day
Yes.
is to breathe.
Yes. Breathe. Be at peace with yourself.
Yeah.
Be happy you're still here walking. There's some people that can't even do that.
Right. Right.
I mean,
And
be happy for what you have.
I know a lot of people are struggling with these parts of it because it's not easy. It's not easy to get clean and stay clean.
Oh,
And then
no.
there's these aspects of facing yourself. There's these aspects of facing your family, which I know a lot of times some stuff just isn't repairable. Some people don't want anything to do with the family members.
But that
when
don't
they're
mean you don't stop trying.
right.
Like I said, you can show them better than you can tell them. When you stop, that's when they're going to think something's wrong. They might just be acting like that to see how far you go.
Right.
I had to become a homeowner before my mom let me see my son again. And I fucking did it. I fucking did it. You know what I'm saying? My house was completely fucking paid for within, I'm not going to say how, but I did it.
Right.
I mean, I did what the hell was what needed to be done in order to do what I wanted. You do what you don't want to do in the beginning to enjoy life later on.
You're going to have to sacrifice somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you what, I want to be around my kids now because now they're old enough where they're going to know I went there. Where before they were young enough, they can't remember. Now they are.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that piece of shit person why they have issues later on in life.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that to them.
Yeah.
I will give them better homes and stable environments and stable woman and male relationships to look at so they treat women properly, the whole nine.
Yeah.
There's reasons why I did what I did.
That's good.
I want good, healthy boys. I want men. I don't want hoodlums.
Right. Right. Just being there, being supportive is, like I said, just remember, you can't control their path.
Well, I know that because they came from me, so I'm strapping the seatbelt on. I'm ready for this.
You're just like, well, I'm gonna be here for the road. As much as it's great when people get clean, and I just feel like there are a lot of people who cave because they don't get the support, but you're not meant to. There's a whole point of not getting the support right off the bat anyway. You're meant to go through some things alone and then come back.
If it don't click, then you got to show people you're strong because then they're going to want to follow you. They're not going to want to follow you. Who wants to follow a weak leader? They followed Hitler because he was strong, not because he was smart.
It's a horrible person, but no, he did not have all those followers because he was weak.
Right. That's the point. He had them followers because he was strong and people listened to him.
Which is crazy. But
nuts.
That's a whole other podcast. Just before we close out, just some insights and advice you would give to anyone struggling in the situation. And again, everyone's situation is different. Everyone is going through their things, but what advice could you give them?
Relapse is part of recovery. Relapse is part of recovery. And don't kick yourself if you relapse. Because if you didn't relapse and you wouldn't learn from it. I relapsed and now I don't want to do it again. Relapse is part of recovery. Don't use it for an excuse to keep getting high.
Right.
Stop the excuses. Just own your shit. If you want to get high, just go get high. Don't put it on your kids because your kids got taken. Your kids got taken because you had them taken. So ultimately, it goes back to you. Quit putting that on your kids. Quit putting on, I was touched as a kid or this or that. Well, you know what? You're an adult now. So do something to change it. Go get therapy. Do something.
Yeah.
Only you can fix what's going on because only you knows how to fix what's going on inside of here.
Yeah.
Fix yourself. Nobody can do it for you. Nobody could fix me. They always enabled me. They kept me high. I got myself sober.
Yeah. Kind of find the will within you, you know. And if not, own it. All I
You
can
gotta
say
love yourself enough. You gotta love yourself enough to know that you're worth being on this planet, breathing this earth, walking on this ground. You're here for a reason. You're not here for not a purpose. You're here for a purpose.
right. I believe it. I believe it. We definitely don't come here for nothing.
Nope.
And whether it starts off tragic or not, definitely doesn't have to end tragically.
I mean, I always go back to the Truman Show. This is what you're the writer of your own book. You get to choose your ending. And I'm going to be sober.
I love it. Well, I'm going to end this here, you guys. Definitely, you guys could go check out her interview on Soft White Underbelly,
Soft
right?
White Underbelly.
I did check it out. It's a really cool interview, just like today. Really cool topic and an interview that's so real. So it's happening. It's been happening, but it's something that I feel like a lot of more people are going through with the way just the wave of drugs have gone. So now it's so much more cooler
It's a
to
revolution.
be high these days than be sober. So just having an honest conversation is everything. So thank you again for coming on here and just speaking your truth. Thank you. And I hope wherever you go, your path, just remember, I feel like what you're doing and speaking about it is huge. It's so much bigger than what you probably realize. So
thank you.
Keep doing it. All right, awesome. Take care. You guys, until the next time, bye.
Bye.